Hey everyone, this is Fabio and welcome back. Today we're gonna do a game discussion video. Haven't done one of this in a while, but I was thinking that for this game it's quite appropriate. It's a cool way to get back into the shape and into the swing of things. And we're gonna talk about the last game that I beat, which is Dragon's Dogma: Dark Arisen on the Nintendo Switch, as you can see. Curious enough, the first game I actually completed on the Nintendo Switch, since I own that console only since Christmas, and I've been playing a lot, and I do mean a lot, of Octopath Traveler, and technically I finished my protagonist's story, so 1/8 of it, and so technically I saw credits, but I really want to complete that game as entirely, at least all 8 stories, and then eventually the final boss or something like that, because I'm loving that so much. So for me, Dragon's Dogma will be the first technically like completely beaten game. But anyways, this is very interesting because regarding Dragon's Dogma, I've heard about it, I knew about it since the early releases on the PlayStation 3, so the previous console generation. However, I didn't pay attention to it kind of like at all. Completely ignored it because maybe probably I saw it, so oh, this is just like a Skyrim ripoff, who cares? Because as you know, I'm not a big fan of Skyrim. I think it's a okay game at best. So I surely wasn't in the mood to play something that to me was just a copy of it. How wrong was I? Well, really, because, well, it has similarities to Skyrim in a way, like maybe only on the surface though, and we'll talk about it why later. One thing that I completely ignored, I didn't know, just to give an idea of how easily I dismissed it, was the fact that this is a Capcom game, so it's technically a new IP by them. And no matter how hard they try, Capcom will always have a special place in my heart. Will always be one of my favorite studios ever. Although they definitely have their ups and downs to me, but that's beside the point. So I have to give a special and a big thank you to both Leo, the funny nerd, and Mario from Axenon Gamer, because it's basically because of them and thanks to them, of course, that I actually really play this game, which I greatly enjoyed. And the thing is, I would say like they didn't expect me to enjoy the game or to enjoy it as much as I did. Especially I remember like once we were doing a podcast together, and all of a sudden I say, no, I'm playing Dragon's Dogma. It's like more than 5 hours or something. It's like, whoa, that's unexpected. You're actually playing it. So, but as a big thank you to Leo, who actually gave me this copy for my birthday. So very, very happy with it, and I'm really happy that I actually discovered this. Definitely a fan now. What's the story of Dragon's Dogma? As I say, like on the surface, it's a very simple story. It's your kind of like, it might seem like your typical open world kind of games, fantasy games. So there is an evil dragon coming, and you have been chosen to be the one who will hunt the dragons down. Though at the beginning there is this little twist. It's not a spoiler, of course. It's the beginning. Plus, this is an old game technically, so. There is this spoiler. It's your character, it's the only one facing the dragon, and obviously it's just like knocked out of the screen in a second. I was just expecting like the sort of goofy soundtrack when the dragon punches you, and you see your character like going away. That was funny, but almost immediately you see the dragon like ripping off your heart out of your chest and eating it. So basically the main story is not only you have to hunt down the dragon to protect the land, but also to reclaim your heart. And that's it. For the most part, that's the main story. While at the same time, you complete side quests of all kind through notice boards. around the land. So you can do, I don't know, catch thieves. There is the main side quest. I would say is the one where you have to discover more and then fight this sort of dark cult, worshipping basically the end of the world or something. That was really cool. You can also explore this mysterious island, and even though it's interesting, what was it called? The Bitter Black Isle. Interesting enough, I didn't do anything with Bitter Black Isle. I completely forgot about it because I was absolutely immersed into the main story. Especially because, as I said, like, this is not really a spoiler, but just a suggestion to keep playing the game, even maybe if you're just bored by catch quest, fetch quest, whatever, even though it's not really like that. But as I say, like, all the quests and stuff like that are not that mind-blowing. And as I said, the main story is pretty basic. But once you face the dragon, from that moment, I would say just going to say, like, there is an amazing twist. And from that moment, the game, to me, became absolutely brilliant. And I love it. Keep playing that up until I managed to get the best ending, and I absolutely love the ending. So if from the beginning towards like the final battle the game was at least good, a solid good game, afterward it became great. So that was a very interesting thing. I didn't expect the twists, but it's interesting that I had my whole theory, which I can say because it's not true, it's not what happens. So basically, I was thinking, you defeat the dragon and something happens. You can clearly see that something is happening with the world. Everything is dark, there are monsters everywhere. So I started thinking, well, maybe the dragon was actually protecting the world from something, from evil or whatever, and for some reason, like, your character, the Arisen, was actually conceived by this evil to destroy the dragon or something like that. Obviously it wasn't true, but it was a cool twist that there was something behind the whole thing with the dragon. And I'm not going to say anything else because that's the best part of the game. So story-wise, there is this. Up until I would say the 85% of the game, it's your open world, quest-based action RPG. Afterwards, the story really does a big thrust and it gets amazing. I really love it. As I said, I absolutely love the true ending. There are at least 6 different ones, and I was able to, I knew what I was supposed to do to get some of them, but I didn't. I want the best ending. I want the true ending because I want to understand more about the fantastic lore in this game, because that's one of the main strengths. If the main story, as I said, it's a bit on the light side. I mean, it's not that, it doesn't seem very deep, at least at first. There is a great lore behind it, like the world, the Arisen, the pawns. We're going to talk about them in a second. And especially once things are starting to get explained, it's like, this is really, really cool stuff, or at least I really liked it. So, as I said, story-wise, apparently not so great, or at least nothing special, and then it gets really cool. One element, though, where Dragon's Dogma, I really enjoyed it, and it's what mainly kept me going, even though I wouldn't say I wasn't in love, because I clearly enjoyed it, but it didn't blow me away with its story. It was obviously the gameplay, because this is a fun game. I really like the combat system. Is a lot of fun. As I say, it's basically an action RPG, but with a fun combat system, and especially when you're facing like bosses or stronger, some sort of like mid-bosses kind of enemies. For example, one thing that I absolutely love and hate at the same time was traveling at nighttime. Because one thing, of course, this is a big world. It's not massively huge, but it feels bigger because going around and traveling feels really slow, because you have to walk, run from one point to the other, and sometimes they ask you to go from one side to the other of the map, and I was just like, oh my god, I have to go all the way there, because I knew that it will take me quite some time, and especially like most likely I have to spend the night on the road traveling, and that's dangerous because the game has this like day and night system, and at night there are many more monsters. And I love the fact that it might happen during the day as well, but at nighttime it really has another feeling, and that's the fact that maybe you have to go through a wood or something, and all of a sudden for a tree like a fucking chimera would jump at you or something like that. Or like once I remember, like I was doing this escort quest, and I was really close to like a camp or something that I needed to go, and I have to pass through a woods, and all of us, everything was going fine, but all of a sudden the music got really ominous. I say, okay, what's going on here? So I got my party ready, and all of a sudden a fucking dragon was in front of me. Not the main dragon, but another one. I was like, oh my god. I mean, this dude start talking to me. It's like, oh, you might be the chosen one, fight me or something. I was like, I'm going to skedaddle out of here because I'm not going to fight a dragon. And he annihilated me and my entire party. So I was like, oh my god, what? There's a dragon there. Or as I said, I absolutely love it when like a giant, a cyclop, or a chimera would just like, especially the chimeras, because like when you, because sometimes cyclops and stuff like that, you see them on the road or something, and they're not much of a threat, especially because they're very slow and everything. But once you have to fight like chimeras or stuff like that, they're nasty because they're fast, they have like magic attack and everything. But I love the idea of like a nighttime, or like there are so many enemies at times. I remember once I completed a quest and I was just exploring the area surrounding this point, and I was just keep getting attacked by monsters. There was like zombies, undead warriors, wolves, harpies. They would just like keep coming. Like we're talking about at least 50 enemies. So I just like keep fighting with my pawns and everything, and I managed to survive. I didn't die. But at the end, like once the last skeleton was killed, I was like, oh, like I need a break. Like I need a cigarette after this or something like that. It was really cool. It's really like, and every time like the night was ending and I saw like the morning sun coming up, I really felt like images of Castlevania 2 as like the morning sun has vanquished the horrible night or something, because nighttime can be dangerous or at least frustrating because you have to fight much more. So, but as I said, that's a plus for the game actually, because the combat was so much fun. I love fighting in this. Although I have to say, when I have to fight the dragon, because I kind of triggered a quest by mistake, because I was exploring this place, oh, there's a door there, and all of a sudden the quest like final battles was triggered. It's like, oh shit, like do I have to fight the dragon already? I felt I was like under level or something, but then I kind of managed, even though I died a lot. But it's like, okay, so I can do this. So, but at the same time, connected with the gameplay, to me at least, it's the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, this is an open world game and traveling can be quite annoying, but it's not a big deal. It's simply because you have to walk, or in my case, like I was running everywhere all the time and I was always out of stamina. So basically when I start fighting, my character was exhausted after I used 2 skills or something. So it's like, Jesus, I'm always out of stamina because I'm running everywhere. So the suggestion is like, if you find those teleporter stones, I don't remember the technical name, but just put them in some strategic points which will cut traveling times by a while. So that's how I did it, and it worked fine. But obviously those stones, at least in my case, I didn't find them everywhere, also because, as I was saying earlier, with the open worldness, I didn't do all quests available, because traditionally, I probably mentioned here and there on my channel and in other videos, or in the podcast. I'm not a huge fan of open world games. To me, open world does not equal good. Of course, I haven't played Breath of the Wild still, which it seems like the exception to the rule. Everyone I talk to, even people who are not really keen on open world games, they all love Breath of the Wild. So whenever I experience that game, I'll probably gonna love it. I know I'm going to. So I feel that's the exception, but more like the Elder Scrolls games, like from Morrowind up to Skyrim, Fallout. So I play both Fallout 3 and 4. Even play Fallout 1, but that's different. What else? Mass Effect Andromeda. Another exception to me was Xenoblade Chronicles, because I loved that world so much. That setting was so special. But less special games, as I say, like more like the Elder Scrolls, and let's use also Mass Effect Andromeda. It's a good example. And Fallout. Usually, the open worldness of a map, to me, it's something that I do not look forward in a game. It's something that I do not enjoy. Most of the time, open world, it's something that will diminish my attention, will diminish my enjoyment of a game in the long run, because I don't really care about exploring these worlds, because with some exceptions, as I said, like Xenoblade, I don't find this world so fascinating and interesting that I want to explore them. As I say, especially like the Elder Scrolls, to me, like as I say, Skyrim is a good example, because people are saying one of the biggest praising of this game is like, oh, it's so big, you can explore, you can do whatever you want. To me, that was a big issue, actually, because after 15 hours, I was bored out of my mind with the game, and I just like powered through the game and finished it. And obviously, that's kind of missing the point of those games. But that world was not that interesting. The story was not interesting. I lost focus very quickly. Mass Effect Andromeda was getting there, even though it's probably, people say like, oh, you like Mass Effect Andromeda? So yes, I did actually. I haven't finished it yet, but it's not that at the same time, though, it's not that I explored every world from beginning to end. I mostly focused on a couple of side quests and the main quest, and then I was out of there. And with this was kind of the same thing in a way, because again, this is not such an amazing and fascinating world. It's your typical fantasy world. So this was the same with the Elder Scrolls or whatever. Like, another exception might be Fallout, but again, after a while, the open world just doesn't help me to get focused in a game. It's mostly a distraction. So with this, for example, it's not that I explored everything because I didn't really care. It's not that I did all the quests, because that's something I don't love in a game, like quest-based games. So as I said, like, I did some quests here and there while I was following the main story. I wish I would have done the main side quest better, the one that was talking about the cult and everything, because that was really cool and also connected with the main story. But whatever. So that's kind of a parenthesis I would say, like with open world, because traditionally I'm not a big fan of them, and I'm still not. It's not that this changed anything. It's just I was able to enjoy it, especially because of it's not really post-game. No, it's not. But mainly because the big story thrust from the final battle with the dragon onwards, that what made me fall in love with it. Before, I was saying, this is a fun game, I like it. It's not that it's incredible or anything. So that's takes care of the gameplay, I would say. It's very cool though. As I say, like, boss battles are probably the highlights. You fight these strong enemies because you have to strategize, or at least all your pawns were attacked, and that's a big element of the gameplay was almost missing, the pawns. I will talk about that in a second. You use your skills and everything, and once you see like the boss health going down and you're almost there, you can see like the adrenaline pumping through your body. You get very excited, and when you defeated a big monster and you hear that triumphal music, it's so good, especially with a big and strong boss. Really, really cool. The pawns. Let's talk about that, of course. The pawns companion system. That is a very interesting and unique thing that I did with this game. Basically, towards the beginning of the game, as you've been chosen as the Arisen, you're introduced to the pawns, which are basically servants of the Arisen in human shape. I need to read a bit more on the pawn's lore to really understand what they are exactly, because I think it was probably explained at one point, but I don't really remember now. However, at the beginning of the game, say you create your own companion, your own personal pawn, and throughout the game you can recruit up to 2 more pawns. So you have a party of 4, so the main characters and 3 pawns. Those other pawns, I think, are created by other players or whatever. Why I like the idea very much, and especially I like the main companion, your own pawn. Like, I love my pawn, absolutely love my own. I would have preferred to have 2 proper party members than up to random pawns, but it's fine. This is nitpicking, of course. Especially like I would suggest, like, it's very important it's kind of essential to have at least 1 healer in the party, and then just you can customize as much as you want. And but it's a very unique system. And also, like, I guess you can exchange pawns with your friends, send it to one of your friends' game and something like that. That could be interesting, though, because I really like it. It's a very curious system, and I would like to explore it more. Maybe there were quests that I missed that explore the pawn's lore a bit more, but they're kind of connected with the figure of the Arisen, and a lot of it's there. So it's a really interesting, as I keep saying, like, it's a very interesting idea. I think I would have preferred to have other interesting characters joining your party or something, because there are curious characters. But probably in this sort of game, it's not really the focus. I don't know. Maybe I'm rambling on this. It's just something that I noticed. Because another thing that to me was really missing in the game, again, it's not really a big negative. It's just something that me personally, as the type of gamer I am, I would add. And that it's a proper dialogue system. Because basically, the Arisen rarely talk in the entire game. I think it would have been great to have a sort of Mass Effect dialogue system in this game, so that you can talk with everyone, have dialogues or whatever. Like, I would have loved like having a conversation with my pawn, for example, or with other characters such as Mercedes, Madeline, Julian, all these people, the Duke and Duchess. All of that, I think it would be beneficial to the game, just in my opinion at least. Let me know what you think about that if you played it. But I was thinking, God, especially because sometimes there are some cool dialogues. Like, I would have loved to have a conversation with the dragon Grigori by the end of the game. That would be amazing, considering what he was talking about. Especially afterwards, that would be awesome. But I definitely, as I say, like, that was the main thing missing to me. And but we're more into nitpick territory here, because even without a proper dialogue system, it's not that the game was suffering from it. It was saying, oh, if only I can talk or reply to what they're saying or something like that. Music-wise, the game is also very good. It has a very good and solid soundtrack. The main theme, I think it's amazing. You hear it like on the title screen, and on some big emotional moments by the end of the game, and it was very appropriate for that. And I love that music. There are some really cool vocals in the soundtrack. Which is kind of what you expect in these, like, epic fantasy games, and it fits very well. And I say it's a solid, good soundtrack. like, for example, the combat theme music is good. Like the boss music, when you kill the music when you kill a boss or like a big monster, is so satisfaction in a way, because it really feels like you accomplished something great by killing these sometimes really tough enemies. One thing I wanted to add before wrapping this up is I've heard that, because actually one more thing. Obviously, as I showed, like I played the Dark Arisen version on the Switch. This game is available basically everywhere. There's no chance you guys can miss it. It was originally released on the PS3. I'm pretty sure it's on the 360. It was re-released on the PS4, probably on the Xbox One. I don't know. It's on PC. Now it's on the Switch. The only thing missing is a 3DS port or something. But who needs it because we got the Switch. So you can pick this game everywhere. Probably would suggest, I don't really know the difference, so pick the Dark Arisen. I think it just has more content than the original Dragon's Dogma. One thing I want to add, going back to that, I heard that Capcom is considering, or at least there is the possibility for a sequel, so for Dragon's Dogma 2, and even more interesting, Netflix either like has bought the right to make an anime, or it's making an anime based on Dragon's Dogma, which is very interesting, to be honest, to see what they're gonna do, to explore like this world more. The sequel. Now, if it's going to happen, I'm definitely going to buy it because, as I said, like I am a fan of this franchise now. Definitely going to buy it. But I'm very curious and I'm kind of wondering, like, what are they going to do for a sequel? Because the true ending, which obviously I'm not going to tell what happened, but the true ending kind of wraps everything up. How can you continue the story from there? Especially, I feel that they cannot do another game focused on the Arisen because reasons, ending reasons. So huge spoilers there. So I'm almost tempted to say, which is weird because as the gamers we always want sequels and we want more out of this. And in a way, I want more adventure in the Land of Grances. But at the same time, I feel maybe it doesn't really need a sequel because it's an auto-conclusive story. There is a possibility, which I'm not going to mention, so it is possible to make a sequel, but in a way, I kind of hope they'll do something completely different and new within the Dragon's Dogma. So I feel that the Arisen story is over. With one exception that I cannot. Why did I start talking about this? It's all super spoilerific. So we'll see. I hope I would be very happy for a sequel, although I don't really know what they can do if they keep working on like Arisen and Pawns and something. Like the Pawns are a possibility, but how? For reasons. Let's move on from this. So overall, let's finish this. Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen. Big recommendation. I mean, I cannot wait for my friends to play this game so we can talk about its ending and maybe even exchange pawns or something. I saw a video recently say this is one of the best games you never played. I'm pretty sure a lot of people played it, but it's kind of those. Of course, it's not a hidden gem. I'm not going to say that, but it's kind of an overshadowed gem in a way because it's a really fun and solid RPG with actually a great story, kind of hidden under a apparently lighter one. But I cannot recommend this enough. Like, I had a grand time with Dragon's Dogma. I will not replay this because I got everything I wanted out of it. I don't absolutely feel the need to replay it because the reason for this, it's like it's amazing story thrust at the end, and I know what happens, so I don't need to like see the bad ending because I already know what's gonna happen. So, but definitely play this. It's a great game. It looks gorgeous on the Switch, and definitely really enjoy my time with it. So that's it for Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen on the Switch. Definitely let me know what you guys think, if you played it. If you're not, as I said, I cannot recommend it enough because it's a lot of fun. It's not too long either. Of course, with this open world game, it kind of depends how you tackle them, because like in my case, I think it took me 35, maybe 40 hours max, not more, because like by the 30th hour I was facing the dragon, so for the final battle. But obviously if you do every single quest, you explore every single corner of the world, I think it can go for like more than 100 hours. But to me, around 40-ish was perfect. It's not too short, not too long. So definitely pick it up, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. As I said, let you know what you guys think. Comments, video response, whatever. So that's it for this game discussion. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.